They laughed when he was dragged into the galaxy's most secure prison, a human, out of place among monsters and warlords. The guards called him weak, the inmates ignored him, and the warden marked him as just another administrative mistake. No one knew his name, just that he sat silently in his cell for 3 weeks, never speaking, never moving. To them, he was already broken. Then, without warning, he stood up. And with a sound like thunder, he ripped the reinforced cell door off its hinges. What followed was chaos, blood, and fear, because the man they mocked wasn't a prisoner at all. He was a weapon. One they never should have caged. They mocked the human prisoner. Then he ripped the cell door off. They laughed when he arrived. A single human, shackled and bruised, was escorted through the sterile halls of Station Clavis by a squad of armored guards. The facility, orbiting a black dwarf in a forgotten arm of the galaxy, was home to some of the most dangerous beings ever captured. Clavis wasn't just a prison. It was a vault, a containment zone for war criminals, genetically modified predators, telepathic assassins, and entities whose existence had been erased from public record. And now, a human was among them. The guards whispered to each other, disbelief laced with amusement. Humans, while a rising power in the interstellar community, were still largely seen as soft-worlders, resilient perhaps, clever even, but ultimately fragile. They didn't have claws, carapaces, or psionic pulses. They bled too easily, they burned, they broke. Cole Merrick didn't speak. He didn't protest. He simply walked with his head down, his eyes cold, calculating. The cell they threw him into had walls 3 meters thick, lined with energy-dampening panels and embedded graviton fields. The guards had a laugh as they sealed the door. "Enjoy your stay, primate. Try not to get eaten in the showers." In the weeks that followed, the mocking continued. Guards tossed synthetic food into his cell like he was a zoo exhibit. Other prisoners, seeing a human for the first time, hurled taunts in a dozen languages. Some tried psychic invasions, bouncing off surprisingly disciplined mental barriers. He gave no response, not anger, not fear, nothing. Cole Merrick had a mission to the Galactic Federation. He was a convicted war criminal caught smuggling military-grade nano-weapons to separatists, but that was the cover. In truth, Merrick was a Terran shock trooper, formerly of Earth's elite recon operations division. He had volunteered for a Black Ops mission so classified that even the Terran Senate received only redacted reports. His objective was simple: infiltrate Clavis and confirm a terrifying suspicion. The Federation wasn't just imprisoning threats. It was experimenting on them. Intelligence reports suggested the existence of a program within Clavis where inmates were subjected to biochemical and neurological testing. The goal? To create hybrid super soldiers that could be controlled remotely. Biological drones forged from the most dangerous life forms in the galaxy. The Terran Alliance had issued formal requests for inspection. All were denied. So Earth sent Cole. He allowed himself to be captured. He allowed the Federation to believe he was a rogue operative. And for 3 weeks, he waited. Every second in that cell was spent analyzing, studying guard patrols, watching the pulse patterns of the energy field outside his door, memorizing the timing of power surges in the walls. He trained his body silently, using isometric exercises that didn't make noise. He timed the slight dips in artificial gravity when the prison cycled its orbital stabilizers. The smallest flaw could be a key. He also listened. The guards weren't careful. They gossiped. He learned about Section Theta, a restricted zone beneath the prison's core. He overheard mentions of Project Vulture, a name he had seen only once before, buried in a data packet intercepted from a secret Federation server. It was real. All of it. The inmates kept mocking him. Monkey lost his voice. Maybe he thinks he's better than us. Bet you he cries himself to sleep. But Cole had heard worse during the siege of Tyrol 9. He'd been dropped into hellworlds where methane rain could strip skin and enemy creatures screamed with voices stolen from past victims. He'd survived worse than name-calling. What they didn't understand was that he wasn't afraid of them. They should have been afraid of him. The opportunity came on day 24. A junior technician failed to properly lock the cell sequence after delivering food. For exactly 7 seconds, the magnetic bolts cycled through a vulnerability phase before re-engaging. It was the moment Cole had been waiting for. With explosive speed, he moved. First, he drove his shoulder into the weak point of the door, the central locking strut. Years of enhanced combat training and cybernetic muscle reinforcement paid off. The metal groaned. Then he hooked his fingers beneath the magnetic panel, timed his strength with the surge dip ... and ripped the door from its hinges. The sound echoed through the block, like a thunderclap. Guards scrambled. Alarms screamed. Cole was already moving. 3 guards rounded the corner, weapons drawn. Too slow. He closed the distance before they could fire. One went down with a crushed trachea. The second got his arm broken in 3 places. Before being slammed into the wall, the third ran. Cole let him. He needed witnesses. The prison AI tried to lock down the sector. Cole bypassed the security node using codes he had memorized from months-old satellite hacks. He flooded the cameras with looped footage. He disabled the graviton stabilizers on 3 floors. He wasn't escaping. He was going deeper. Down to Section Theta. Through biometric doors and laser fields, he carved a path. Bodies lay in his wake, stunned or unconscious. He didn't kill unless he had to. He was a soldier, not a butcher. What he found in Theta was worse than he had feared. Dozens of beings strapped to surgical frames. Cybernetic limbs fused to their flesh. Screaming creatures with eyes filled with pain and madness. Data logs confirmed it. The Federation was using prisoners as experimental hosts for nano-weapon integration. Some inmates were being programmed to become living weapons, wired to detonate or obey remote commands. Cole copied everything, every file, every video, every confession, and then he set the charges. He planted high-yield destabilizers throughout Theta, targeting the main server, banks and the neural link cores. The explosions wouldn't destroy the station, but they would erase every trace of Project Vulture. On his way out, he paused. He opened the containment fields, freed the victims who could walk, left instructions for Terran medics in case they made it out. Then he returned to the upper levels, to the docking bay. The last obstacle was Warden Grax, a hulking Xeno with 4 arms and a reputation for cruelty. Grax confronted Cole near the escape pod bay. "You think you can just break out? That you can expose the Federation? You'll be hunted, killed, forgotten." Cole didn't flinch. "Maybe, but today I made them bleed, and Earth never forgets." Grax charged. Cole sidestepped, grabbed a shock baton, and drove it into the Warden's thorax. 1 burst. 2. Grax fell. Cole launched in the emergency pod behind him. Theta exploded. 3 days later, the pod was recovered by a Terran stealth cruiser operating in deep space surveillance. Cole was alive, barely. The data he carried shook the Terran Senate to its core. Within weeks, Earth released the findings to the interstellar community. The Federation denied everything, but the footage spread. Public outrage boiled across dozens of systems. Clavis was shut down. Project Vulture was disavowed. Arrests were made quietly, internally. And Cole Merrick vanished. Some say he was given a new identity. Others claim he now leads Black Ops raids against hidden Federation labs. What everyone agrees on ... is that the day the human ripped the cell door off, the galaxy finally understood: you can cage a human, but you better pray he stays in the cage.